Here is the question the invalid wants to answer. Nepal and Bangladesh have had these grievances for decades. So why are they becoming louder NOW in 2024 and 2025? 3 structural reasons. When you have only one powerful neighbor, you cannot challenge them diplomatically. You need them too much. For decades, Nepal and Bangladesh needed India completely. Nepal, 65% of trade, 100% of fuel supply through India. Bangladesh, $11.5 billion in India exports, India's connectivity for Northeast trade. Then China entered the neighborhood aggressively, gives Nepal $8 billion in Chinese BRI investment. China became Nepal's top FDI source. Gives Bangladesh $38 billion in Chinese BRI commitments. Gives Maldives Chinese resort investment and infrastructure. Gives Sri Lanka Chinese Hambantota port 99-year lease. When you have an economic alternative, you can afford to challenge your historically dominant neighbor. China gave India's neighbors the ability to say No to India, and some of them are now saying it very loudly. This is the pattern the invalid documented. Territorial claims spike when leaders face domestic pressure. KP Sharma Oli, Nepal's PM in 2020, was facing a collapsing coalition, political opponents, and accusations of incompetence on COVID. Releasing the new map united Nepal's fractured parliament. Every single MP voted for it. It was not diplomacy, it was domestic politics. Anti-India sentiment is reliably popular in Nepal. Muhammad Yunus, Bangladesh's interim leader 2024 to 2026, had no democratic mandate, no election, appointed by circumstance. The Yunus government needed to establish its nationalist credentials to compete with established parties. Stirring anti-India sentiment, historically effective in Bangladesh, served a domestic political function. Domestic unpopularity plus anti-India rhetoric equals political survival. This pattern has repeated in Nepal, Bangladesh, Maldives. It is not coincidence. It is a playbook. India's Neighbor First policy has existed since 2014, but the diplomat documented structural problems with implementation. Gives India extended $7.9 billion in LOCI to Bangladesh, but 11 projects were dropped due to delays and conditions requiring equality. India-based contractors and approval layers. Gives Nepal received $1.6 billion in Indian LOCI. Similar complaints about bureaucratic bottlenecks. The good news, if there is good news, is that 2026 presents India with a genuine opportunity. Both Nepal and Bangladesh have new governments. In Nepal, Balendra Shah, 35 years old, a rapper, a populist, not ideologically anti-India, open to economic engagement. In Bangladesh, Tariq Rehman, BNP, historically more balanced toward India than the Yunus-led interim government. India's EM Jaishankar visited Dhaka in December 2025. India hosted senior BNP officials even before they took power. Nepal-India 2024 energy deal. India to buy up to 10,000 megawatts from Nepal. Nepal began exporting power to Bangladesh via India, South Asia's first tri-national energy project, June 2025. These are real? These are working? So what must India do to convert this window into lasting stability? Yields FIS-1 resolve Kalpani through bilateral talks. The Sugauli Treaty dispute will not be solved by maps or banknotes. India and Nepal must resume foreign secretary level talks with a specific mandate, jointly study the historical maps, agree on a river source interpretation, and negotiate a settlement. Kalapani's strategic value can be addressed through a joint administrative arrangement, not unilateral control. This is hard, but it is the only path to resolution. Gives FIS-2, Speed UP project delivery IN Neighborhood. India's lines of credit are generous in number. They are slow in delivery. A dedicated neighborhood project fast-track authority with a 9-0 DAY approval mandate would change the perception of India as a bureaucratic partner versus China as an efficient one. Let me end with what the data actually tells us. Nepal and Bangladesh are not India's enemies. They never have been. Nepal, every drop of petroleum comes through India. 65% of all trade goes through India. 4 lakh Nepali citizens work in India right now. Bangladesh, built with India's help in 1971. The closest civilizational, cultural, and linguistic ties any two countries can share. 11.5 billion US dollars in trade. Millions of people connected. The territorial claims are real. The provocations are documented. The Greater Bangladesh maps are being shared by people in power. The Nepal banknote is printed and in circulation. An end. New governments are in power in both countries. Energy deals are being signed. The first tri-national South Asian power project is running. India's EAM visited Dhaka within weeks of the new government. Every border dispute in history has one of two endings. Either nations find a way to talk and transform a territorial disagreement into a cooperative relationship built on economic interdependence, or they allow maps, banknotes, and political rhetoric to harden into permanent hostility, and everyone pays the price. India has the largest economy, the largest market, the strongest position. But strength without wisdom is just pressure. And pressure on neighbors who now have alternatives produces exactly the kind of maps we have seen in 2024 and 2025. Final line, Dia Sarage Dialogue. The most important borders are not drawn on maps. They are built in trust. And trust, once broken, takes far longer to rebuild than any road through a mountain pass. India, Nepal, Bangladesh. 3 countries, 1 neighborhood. One question that remains open. Can they build that trust before someone else? Someone with deeper pockets and fewer scruples besides the neighborhood for all of them? Drop your answer in the comments. Like, subscribe, think deeper, stay invalid. The China File is coming.